Hello everyone, my name is Chris and welcome back to another movie review. Today I'm gonna be reviewing Dune, and as usual I'm quickly gonna go through the story of this movie to tell you in short what this movie is all about. Then I'm gonna share my own opinions and thoughts about this movie, so in case you didn't watch it, one big spoiler alert across the screen. And yeah, just click away from this video to avoid spoilers and come back after you watch a movie if you want to, guys. If you don't want to, you don't have to, it's totally okay. But if you really are interested in my opinions and thoughts about this movie right now, then stay with me till the end of this video and let's get started. Alright guys, Dune is a movie that's been released in 2021, and this is science fiction slash action slash drama type of a movie. And this is actually a remake to original Dune movie that was released in 1984, and I didn't watch it, by the way, because I'm too young for that, obviously. But the major difference between the original and remake is that remake is going to be separated in more than one part. So this was Dune part 1, so I guess there's going to be 2 more or 3 more, so it's going to be like a trilogy or quadrilogy or something. But yeah, anyway, story of Dune, well, it's pretty complicated and complex, but I'll try to do my best to explain it. So movie set in really far future. It's year 10,100 and something, I think. And there are multiple factions in this movie, and all these factions have something in common. They all want this red dust that is called spice, and that can be found only on planet Arrakis. Now, planet Arrakis is completely desert planet, so entire planet is just hot desert, and the main threat on that planet are those giant sandworms that can grow over 400 meters long, and they're really dangerous. Now, there is this faction that lives on that planet Arrakis. They're called Fremen, and they're originally from that planet. So they adapted to the life on Arrakis, and they invented suits that cool down your body, and they recycle your sweat and make water that you can drink. You know, they're really smart. You know, they adapted to the life in desert, and they know how to survive encounters with these giant worms and how to stay away from them. Then you have this other faction that starts with Age. I forgot their name, but they're basically bad guys. They only want this spice for fuel. Actually, they're using it for fuel in their starships for interstellar travel, and they actually want to sell it as well for the money or whatever currency it is in the future. Then you have an emperor's faction. There is an emperor in this movie, and he has a huge army. He's very powerful and everything, and he seeks help from this other faction called Atreides. Now, that's the main faction in this movie, because the main character that you follow through in this movie is from this faction. His name is Paul, and Paul Atreides is a young boy. He's a prince of Atreides faction. His father is a king of a faction. His mother is a queen, obviously, and they live peacefully on this planet of theirs. I don't know what it is, but it's called home of Atreides. And at the beginning of the movie, they get a message from the emperor, who is asking them to help them to go to planet Atreides and bring the balance to manufacture of this spice. So this spice is being collected and produced on planet Arrakis, and they need to go there and establish the political connection with the Fremen faction and help them bring that manufacture back to balance, because something happened and it's not really working out, and these bad guys are actually attacking Fremen faction and taking the spice. You know, so they're actually evil, and they need to protect Fremen faction and all that. And the King of Atreides says, "Yes, I'll go there. I'll help them out. You know, I'll complete the mission for you." And there is something with this boy Paul as well. His mother has some sort of supernatural power called the voice, and he also has it, but he's not really aware of it, and he doesn't really know how to control it. And that voice is like something that makes other people do what she says. Like, she screams at them and tells them to do something and kind of like hypnotizes them, and they have to do that. And he knows that he has that power, and he also doesn't know how to control it yet. And he's also having these visions where he sees this beautiful girl with blue eyes, that is, by the way, played by Zaynada from Spider-Man. And there's a lot of great actors in this movie, like Jason Momoa. There is even an actor who played Thanos in Avengers. Then there is a guy who played Boris in HBO Chernobyl. There is a lot of great actors in this movie. And yeah, Paul also comes to this planet Arrakis with his Atreides faction, and they start completing the mission. You know, they start to get closer with the Fremen faction, and things seem to be going well until the Emperor decides to betray them. So Emperor joins forces with this other evil faction that starts with Age, and they wipe out Atreides faction because they were the strongest and they had the biggest army, and they had these highly trained soldiers. So they decide to join forces to wipe them out so they can do whatever they want with planet Arrakis and the spice. And yeah, Atreides, they get backstabbed, and they get wiped out. Paul's father, who was a king of Atreides, dies unfortunately, and Paul becomes the next king of Atreides. And as the movie comes towards the end, he realizes that he needs to find Fremens. Only his mother and him survive at the end of Atreides, even though I believe that's not completely true. I think there's going to be more of them in the future movies, but what I've seen in this movie is that him and his mother, that is also pregnant with his brother and sister, they survive, and they find Fremen faction, and they actually seek exile between them, and they don't really want to accept them at first, but then there is one of Fremen people who challenges Paul to a fight to death, and Paul accepts it, and that's when he makes his first kill in this movie. And after he does that, they get accepted into Fremen faction, and they promise they will help them because their faction has been wiped out. And Fremens also believe that Paul is some sort of a prophecy. You know, they believe that he's some sort of Messiah or Jesus, whatever. They call him the One. And some believe that he is the One, some believe that he's not. He doesn't really know what to believe in. But as the movie comes towards the end, all these visions that he's been having and these dreams, they start coming true, and everything actually starts happening as he predicted. To Fremens, this spice is like a hallucinogen and a cure. So each faction actually has some sort of use from this spice thing. So that's the main thing they all hunt for, except Atreides. They were the only ones who came there with good intentions to actually complete the Emperor's request and to establish some sort of good political relations with Fremen faction. So that was their goal, but unfortunately they got betrayed, and that's pretty much what happens in this movie, and that's pretty much how this movie ends. Paul and his mother, end up finding Fremens and joining them, and that's where pretty much movie ends, you know. And this movie is 2.5 hours long, and it's very complex movie. As you can see, I talked about 10 minutes just about the story, and this was like the shortest possible version I could come up with. There is plenty of other details, but if I talked about them, I would probably never finish this video. Yeah, altogether, they've been saying this is one of the best movies that was released in 2021, and I'm not really sure about that because I don't know how to feel about this movie. It's very complex, and it just makes you think so much. You have to be so focused while watching this movie and follow everything that's happening carefully, otherwise you're not gonna understand anything that was going on in this movie, or you're gonna forget what this movie is about. You know, it's really complicated, and it takes a lot of concentration and thinking and processing. I can keep my attention on something for a certain amount of time, and if I don't fall for it, and if I don't find it interesting, then I start dropping my concentration. And that's kind of what was happening to me with this movie. There was a point where I thought, okay, this could be a very interesting movie, which it was when I seen the trailer for it, and I expected to see something spectacular, especially when I seen the actors in the movie, like Jason Momoa, Zenada, and like I said, the guy that played Thanos and the guy that played Boris in HBO Chernobyl. There's plenty of great actors in this movie, and I was like, okay, this could be a really high budget, good movie, and it is. Not gonna lie, it is. They invested a lot in this movie. The CGI was on point. I really enjoyed it. The movie looks beautiful. Soundtracks in this movie are spectacular. I fucking loved them. Acting was on point. The only issue I had is that the movie is so freaking long, and it's so complex that you have to keep your attention on it constantly, otherwise you're not gonna understand anything. And the entire universe and the set of the movie was not too interesting for me, and that's simply why the complexity of this movie annoyed me. It was just not interesting to me that much, and it's one of those movies where I have to watch the sequels to make a final decision, was it a good saga or not. So Dune Part 1 was just an introduction to something, I hope, better, because I didn't watch the original movie from 1984, even though I maybe should, so I kinda then know what to expect from this. But in the same time, I don't feel like doing that because I like to see what direction this remake is gonna, go, and I don't know what to expect. But if I watch the original, then I know what can I expect, and I kind of would like to get surprised in a positive way. So it's really complex movie to think about and process for me, and I don't really know what to say about it or what to think about it, but I got a little bit annoyed, I'm not gonna lie. The movie is too long, and it's mostly focused on the story. There is very little action in this movie, and there are some things I kind of was annoyed with, and that is that there is no like guns or like computers or something in this movie, even though it's set in a really far future. They have spaceships that can travel through the space and all that, but they use freaking swords in fights, and they have cannons that shoot rockets from the ships and from those ground like protective stations at the ships in the sky. So they do have rockets, firepower and all that, but they don't have guns. Like, all the action scenes in the movie are melee based, like a melee based combat with swords. They have shields that they can enable, and you can't penetrate them that easily, but like if you hit hard enough, you can go through that shield. It depletes the energy from the shield, and you can kill someone easily if you know what you're doing. So it has that futuristic set, but they still use swords, it just kind of doesn't make sense to me. Like, if the future and everything is so advanced, like, shouldn't you use some sort of like guns, or I don't know. The only time that you can see something closest to a gun in this movie are those tranquilizers that they fire at one point in the movie. So, and there's also like no computers or like holograms or anything in this movie. They have these super advanced ships and everything, but like there's no computers or like fancy technology, and that was kind of weird to me. And this entire universe is, I don't know, it's not that much interesting to me. And I do know that this is a remake to obviously a huge classic or something, but I just kind of couldn't feel it, and I can't really say that this was the best movie of 2021. I just don't know. I'm left with mixed feelings. I guess I'll have to wait for sequels to see what they bring, and then I'll make the decision did I actually enjoy this or not, because this was just an introduction. Like I said, this was part one, and I want to see what's gonna happen later. I can't really make the final decision about this movie yet, so that's it. Like, if you are into science fiction, and maybe if you watched the original movie from 1984, I totally recommend you to check this out. Like, if you like action, science fiction, drama mixed up with mashed up in one movie, yeah, check out the Dune. You might like it actually, and you might really enjoy it. I'm not gonna say that I didn't enjoy it, but I'm also not gonna say that I did. I am floating on the line in between these two. That's it. So that's everything I can say about this movie. Um, yeah, that's it for this movie review. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, then go ahead and leave a like, share, comment, or subscribe if you want to, guys. If you don't want to, you don't have to. It's totally okay. You can also join my Chris Facebook group. Link is down below in the description. I post all kind of stuff over there, so join if you want. And again, if you don't want to, you don't have to. It's totally fine. And one big thank you for watching, guys. I appreciate all of your support and everything you've done for me and my channel so far. You're amazing. I love you, and I'll definitely see you in the next videos. Chris out.